Hi, my name is Nathan Jackson, and I decided to do my internship with the volleyball coach that I played with when I was a 14-year-old. Here's my mentor. His name is Patrick Eaton. He coaches at Balboa Bay Volleyball Club. He's also the head coach for both the girls and boys varsity teams at Tesoro High School. He coaches the 14 boys and 18 girls for Balboa Bay Volleyball Club, and I played for him when I was 14 years old. Some work experience that I completed during this internship is I went to 10 plus practices with him that were all 2 hours each and got to learn everything that he knows and what he does and what he thinks about when he runs a practice. And I had the opportunity to train one of the kids on the team named Jack Grady one on one with my dad filming in the background to practice being a coach and helping a kid get better at the game that they love. So, to be a volleyball coach, you have to have some volleyball knowledge of the game, the technique, and how to be good, as well as how to win. So, one thing you got to be able to do is you got to be able to correct technique of a volleyball player. So, when you do this, you have to watch a player's technique. If you see that it's perfect, you got to be in their ear saying, "Great job. I love the technique. It's looking great." And if you see an incorrection, you need to tell them what they're doing wrong and then show them an example. And then you got to look for improvement on the next rep. And here's a video of me teaching a technique to Jack Grady during our lesson.
Go.
So, your feet, you're taking steps like this, then you're passing the ball. You need to make sure that when you see that ball, you're even as you come over, and you kind of like that with me. Just brings it back and high. You're just getting caught like this, and then just go straight. It's like passing. So that I was helping him with his serve receive passing in volleyball. That's when the other team is starting a play of volleyball to start a rally, and you're trying to receive that first ball and make the pass perfect. So in the game of volleyball, you want a perfect pass. You just have a better chance of winning when you're able to do that well. And he needed to work on a specific technique when he's moving to his right. So I showed him that, and then I watched him improve. Here's another video of where I corrected part of his technique in serve receive. He was struggling with passing the ball with his hands. So I did two things. I identified it and I explained how to do it and showed him an example of me doing it. And then I repped it out with him by throwing balls at his head. Like the ball moves, but when that ball's coming, the biggest thing is like you get that behind it, but you're going through it. So if you're jumping out backwards, drop like just like yeah. Finger line is that thing come out. Fingertips. Try to think like see the ball like this. Just get everything behind it. One thing I learned when you're teaching a kid new technique, you need to have a very positive and nice sounding voice when you're teaching it to them, and you must be confident with what you're saying. If you don't feel confident with the technique you're teaching them, they're not going to feel confident in believing you even if you're right. And having good feedback and a good tone with your voice when you're teaching them a technique is great for them, and they love to hear it, and you see the improvement so much when they're young, as this is just a great way to talk to them. And I learned this at the internship of how you talk to your players when you're hard on them, and in different situations when you're nice and when you're not. Like the ball moves, but so the next thing with being a volleyball coach is you have to be able to create a volleyball practice plan. When your team needs to improve and you have a practice before a tournament or just practices in general, you have to know what you need to do to make that practice the most effective for your team so they improve the most. Here's an example of an outline of a practice plan that you can use to fill out as a guide. You don't have to follow it exactly, but it's nice to visualize what you're going to do. And so you can write down on a paper. And then when you're in practice, you look at that paper and you say, bang, this is what we're doing next. So it's very efficient because you're limited to 2 hours. So you want to be able to do as much as you can in that limited time. So the first thing you're going to do is get a body warm up. The kids just need to have their bodies ready to create volleyball moves and get their heart rate up. So they'll run around the gyms, run a few laps around the gym to get their heart rate up. Do some D-ROMs, which are dynamic range of motion stretches, to get the body loose. And this warm should take about 10 to 15 minutes of practice, so no one gets injured and everyone's ready to go during the practice. The next thing is ball control. You want your players to touch the ball as much as possible when they're young, so they feel the ball, they learn the ball, and getting these touches during a warm-up before practice is great for them when it comes to a higher speed and the practice starts getting a higher pace. Just feeling the ball, passing it back and forth, setting it, serving it, hitting it back and forth, 10 to 15 minutes of this to be prepared for the hard stuff of the practice. Now, you got to think to yourself when you're choosing these next 3 parts of practice because they are very important. You got to think about how your team has performed in recent tournaments. You need to identify what your team struggles with on offense, defense, in-game, everything. And then what skill can you focus on improving your team that will show the most improvement for the next practice or the next tournament, the next time they're able to play? What drill is going to yield the most improvement, the most amount of success? So a specific defense drill, defense is when the other team's attacking and trying to hit the ball on the ground on your side of the court. So the problem with this team I was working with is they struggled with positional team defense in the back row. So there's 6 players on the court, 3 in the front row, 3 in the back row. So for the drill, we decided to put 3 defenders in their respective positions on the volleyball court. And on the other side of the net, we put a box at each end of the court, which are called the pins. So volleyball court, bang, bang. And then the sides of the net are called the pins, which are where attackers hit in a volleyball game. And we put 2 boxes there so coaches can stand on the box, go from above the net and hit the ball down at them. This will improve the 3 players' communication, who should take what ball, and just practicing getting the ball up in the air for when they must do it in a game situation. The next thing is in a specific attacking drill. My team struggled, the pin hitters, which are on the end of the court, struggled to hit the ball straight down the line. They would always get sucked inside and hit the ball in the angle, and they need to learn how to hit the ball around the block down the line. So the drill that we created was having each pin hitter hit their specific set. So on the right side pin or the left side pin, and they get set the ball, and every time they hit the ball down the line, they earn a point, and you must earn 15 points to escape the drill. And this will be groups of 3 that do it, so one person doesn't get very tired out. And it's a team effort. And if you end up hitting the ball out of bounds and making an error, it'll be -1 to your total when you're trying to reach 15. And this identifies a specific problem and helps them improve on this specific thing. Lastly, we'll need a game variation. So one thing in the games, they struggled with attacking and defending against high balls. High balls is when there's a bad pass and the ball has to be set 20 to 30 feet in the air before the last contact is an overhead attack on the other side of the court. They need to improve on attacking those balls, making them tough for the other team, and also digging those balls and making the best out of a tough situation for the other team. So the drill would be the first ball of the game is a coach tossing a ball way off the net, and the side only has 2 touches. They must set the ball to the net as close as they can and have one person attack it to the other side. And then every time you score a point in the drill, you get that chance of scoring off a high ball. So every time a ball goes out of bounds in the court, the team that won the point gets that next toss and gets the chance to score on a high ball. And this works on both the attacking aspect of high balls and the defending aspect of high balls. And the first to score 15 points will win the drill. that is my experience with my internship with Pat Eaton. It was a very awesome experience, and I believe I learned so much. Thank you for listening.